Welcome to Robotics and Automation News webinars, where you can be part of a global event without leaving your home or office. Attend our live webinars and communicate directly with influential professionals in your industry.
Hello, my name is Abdul Montakim. I'm editor of Robotics and Automation News.com. In this interview, I speak to Greg Welchans, President and Chief Marketing Officer of Distribution Management, which operates a US-wide national and international fulfillment network, among other things. The company recently invested in warehouse robots manufactured by Six River Systems, and Greg speaks in some depth about the implementation as well as other aspects of distribution management's operations.
This is Greg Welchans with Distribution Management. I'm President and Chief Marketing Officer.
Tell us a bit about distribution management as a company.
Okay. So Distribution Management is a privately held company that services both the business-to-business community from a distribution standpoint and the business-to-consumer community. We have two companies. One is called Supplies Network, and Supplies Network is a wholesale distributor of print-related products. So things like Hewlett-Packard, Xerox, Lexmark, brands like that we distribute. And 95% of what we distribute goes directly from our warehouses to the business that's going to be utilizing the product. The other side of our business is called DM Fulfillment. And DM Fulfillment is a third-party fulfillment company that fulfills orders for websites directly to the consumer. It could be a brand's website, or it could be Amazon or Walmart, or we could be doing fulfillment into a store or into a distribution center. And so that's kind of a high level of our company. We have 5 distribution centers across the United States. 3 of them currently are utilizing over 100 Six River robots to help our order processing in our warehouses.
Right, and you mentioned there the partnership with Six River, the Six River Systems, the company which makes warehouse robots, autonomous mobile robots, AMRs as they're often referred to. Can you tell us a bit more about that partnership and more detail, if you don't mind?
Sure. So in 2018, we saw that we had 3 distribution centers that were up for renewal or for us to move. And because our business is growing, we needed to expand the footprint of our business, the size and scope of our distribution centers. And we also needed to, because of a different product mix that we're experiencing, we needed to be able to be flexible with the type of picking and packing operation that we had. We used to use conveyors primarily to do our picking processes, and we were about 95–96% small package distribution. We now have much larger products that require LTL or shipments in containers, and we needed the flexibility in the front of our distribution centers to be able to receive and distribute those kind of products. And with the conveyor systems that we had, it didn't allow us to do that. So we started the process in 2018 of picking a partner that could help us with some flexibility in our warehouses. And that led us to picking Six River to utilize their robots in our distribution centers. In 2019, we implemented about 35 of their robots in our Carlisle, Pennsylvania facility. In March of this year, 2020, we implemented another 30 plus robots into our Dallas distribution center. And then as we speak, we are implementing another 35 to 40 robots. So that puts us over 100 robots in our distribution centers to help facilitate the order picking process.
Yeah, I found this map on the distribution management website. I'm sorry if you can't see, maybe you won't know what I'm referring to, but it's a map of the USA, and it's all the states are in color codes. There's green states where you have stars which denote distribution centers for your company. And there's a square in, I guess it's Chicago, Illinois. That's the fulfillment and mail consolidation center. And the round one is corporate headquarters, which seems to be based near St. Louis. I don't know if that's the correct. But yeah, so you've just to recap, you've said that you've got 100 robots so far, 100 plus. In Carlisle, 35, roughly a third are in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, a third in Dallas, Texas, and another third, or 35-ish, in your distribution centers, which are in California, Fresno, California, Dallas, Texas, and St. Louis, Missouri, I suppose, and Carlisle, Pennsylvania. So have I got that right? Is the map up to date on your website, or is there other additional things?
The map is up to date.
Good.
Yes, the map is up to date. It is up to date. The only facility that, well, we have two facilities that we have not implemented their robots. One is Fresno, California, because we weren't in a position to move our facility. And when we do, we most likely will be utilizing those robots in that facility. Our Chicago, or it's actually based in a town called Oswego, Illinois, is a TSA certified facility where we take product, we put it in containers, they're sealed, and then they're put on an airplane into the UK and Australia and other countries for infusion into your mail systems. And that's not a facility where a robot application would work.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. Because I was just to clarify, LTL to some people that might not know. I mean, I kind of think I know because I used to work for a freight magazine, newspaper, or whatever you want to call it, print, back in the print days. Less than lorry load, is that right? LTL, less than lorry load? Or is it? Less
than truckload. Yes, sir.
Less than truckload, yeah. We call it lorry in this country, I think. Yeah. So, so that means large items, but not quite big enough to, fill up a container. And those are large items. What interested me is that you're saying that the conveyors were good for smaller items, but when you went to larger items, you decided to bring the robots in. And the robots, what's their capacity in terms of payload? How much can they carry?
Well, yeah, the larger items don't go on the Six River robots. Fergal, you might want to answer that question, what the capacity is.
Yeah, so in terms of the capacity, you've got to think about how you cube it out and then the weight it can carry. In terms of the weight, it's 200 pounds, and I'm going to have to send you an email with the conversion to kg on that. And then with cubing it out, 100 kg, okay. And then with cubing it out, we work with our customers to push the appropriate number of levels onto the chuck that best suits the cubes or the containers that they're picking their products into.
Right.
And so for our customers, in terms of cubing it out, it would range from they're picking anywhere from into 4 containers all the way up to 32 plus containers on a single chuck.
Sorry, but when you say cubing it out, what does that mean in a way that I can understand? I haven't heard that term before.
Yeah. So think about a chuck has multiple levels. So each level is a workspace. You could think about each level as being kind of like a table. And on this workspace, you can push containers. And so on each workspace as well, around the edges, there's lights to show for the containers you have put on it and where to push the items that you've picked. And so on the workspace, like, you can slice up that level so that you could have just one big box on it, or maybe you want 2 half-size boxes on it, or you want to put 4 smaller containers on it, or 8 even smaller containers, or maybe you want to stack it up with 16 shoe boxes.
I see. Okay, and
think about, like, there's like XYZ dimensions on it to cube it, and then it's the overall weight capacity that it can carry.
I see. I understand now. I guessed as much, but just thought I'd ask for clarification because I think there might be a lot of people new to this kind of technology. By the standards of this technology, Greg, your company seems to have been an early mover. 2018 seems like a long, long time ago now, with all the things that are going on in the world. But in terms of autonomous mobile robots or warehouse robots, and possibly 6-river systems, that's quite early, isn't it?
I think we were early adopters of the technology. I think we saw the benefits of the automation and the efficiencies it could create for our business, which the performance is trued out to us. We have seen a double-digit gross efficiency in our picking, and so yeah, we were early adopters, but 6-river certainly gave us the value proposition of improving productivity in our warehouses, and it's worked out.
Now, about these warehouses, were they kind of already existing with conveyors, and did you move them out, or were they empty, and did you have a choice of installing conveyors or robots, and did you opt for robots, or is it a combination of the two to some degree? How do because one of the things I've written about or been told about by other people is that sometimes it does come to a straight choice between the two. And because conveyors require fixed infrastructure and they're possibly more expensive and less flexible, some people are choosing robots. Describe the process that you went through when you decided to install the 6-river systems robots.
Sure. We eliminated, I'm just going to say, miles of conveyor when we decided to use the robots. We still utilize conveyor in our sorting process for parcel delivery. So the process starts at a station where one of our employees will use a scanning device and will scan a ticket that will populate how many orders go on a robot. It could be, to Fergal's comment, it could be 2 orders based on the size of the products, or it could be 14 or 15 orders, again, based on the size of the product. And so we utilize those as our picking process. And once the orders are picked, and once let's say we had 14 orders on the cart, once we've completed that picking process, those cartons then go on to a conveyor, which then the boxes are sealed, and then they're sorted to different areas for different deliveries to the United States and to other countries. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. The other thing I wanted to ask you is that is it in this map? The green bits. I forgot to mention that you got a color code, and the reason you got a color code is you got green for 1 day, blue for 2 day, and orange for 3 day. I'm guessing that's the amount of time it takes to deliver the product, fulfill the order, if you like. Is that right? So you got same day delivery, 1 day delivery in the green areas.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if an order comes in today, it goes out today. And that map is UPS ground oriented. So if it goes out today and it's in a green area, it will be delivered to 66, 67% of the U.S. population tomorrow. If it's in the blue area, it will hit about 96% of the U.S. population in 2 days. And then you've got Montana. That was a joke. That was a joke.
I got it.
I didn't. I'm sorry.
I appreciate it.
Sorry.
Montana is I suppose it's wilderness mainly. Is that what you're saying? And not many roads there. I don't know. Anyway.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cattle.
Beautiful country.
A lot of cattle.
All right. I think I get it. So one of the things I'm interested in is the same day delivery thing, because I think the first company that I heard of doing it is Amazon, or they made a big deal of it. Maybe other people are doing it as well, but Amazon and everything that Amazon does, everybody talks about. But it seems a lot of companies are trying to offer the service, and you're obviously covering at least 10 states that I'm seeing with same day delivery. Is that something that is made possible by warehouse robots, or is it something that you could have done using traditional conveyor technology, or is that something that is the warehouse robot important in that kind of very, very fast turnaround time?
Well, it's actually not same day. It is next day. And so we were, it is really based on a UPS ground delivery mechanism. It is, when we used miles more of conveyor, we were able to hit those same metrics. We do hit those same metrics, although we process more orders next day delivery with the robots.
Right, and how is the return on investment working out for you? I mean, in terms of, I don't know what the typical deal would be. I imagine Six River Systems has negotiations for, because it was early, I suppose might have been a different kind of deal. But I'm obviously not asking for any confidential information unless you want to share it. But how has it worked out for you financially?
Well, we don't have the metrics of the payback completely worked out yet, because we're still implementing all the robots, right? I mean, we just literally turned on robots yesterday in our St. Louis facility that are actually picking yarn that's going back to the UK, ironically. But I can tell you this, we've had a 38% increase in the efficiency of our picking, right? So we're seeing 38% more orders being processed on a daily basis than we were seeing in our previous system. We also have had about a 50% reduction in turnover in our facilities for employees, which is really important. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but our labor market has gotten, well, until recently, until COVID, the labor market for warehouse employees was dry, and they would shift for, pennies on a dollar, if you will. They would leave you, and so we've seen a great reduction of employees leaving us, and a greater efficiency in picking. So with those things combined, I'm certain we're going to see a great payback and a great return on investment with the robots.
I'm looking through the website, and I was trying to find any sort of overall I don't know, overview figures of how much in total, how many goods, rather, I don't know how you calculate or what measures you use to say how much stuff you move, how much material you handle through your facilities. Is there something that you can give me in that respect, in total, as an overview, high level perspective?
So let me just clarify, are you talking about the amount of inventory that we have in our warehouses or the amount of orders we process daily?
Probably both. I mean, in the aggregate, I mean, each one would probably be too much detail to go into, but overall, what kind of numbers are we talking about, both in terms of inventory that you hold in the facilities and how much you process through them?
It varies on facility. In our St. Louis facility, which has the highest inventory accounting, is about 105,000 SKUs. 40,000 of those are yarn, bundles of yarn from a UK company. But that's the highest SKU count we have in any warehouse. We do have redundancies within our warehouses where we do replicate inventory, but in the third-party fulfillment business, that company called Lovecrafts has chosen St. Louis as the central distribution point for their product, and they wanted it in one spot. From how many packages we pick a day, it's roughly about 20,000 orders a day go out our doors.
Wow. It's a lot of orders. And what are the growth prospects for you? And do the robots have a say in that, in terms of do you think it might take you in different directions? I mean, for example, I hear about things like micro fulfillment centers and things like that. But what kind of trends are important to you in terms of for your growth, for your company's growth?
Sure. So since October of last year, we virtually tripled our space. So in the fulfillment, in our supplies network business, we didn't need as large a footprint of a facility because it was we could replicate the process pretty easy and it was repeatable. In the fulfillment business, if you don't have space, you don't have anything to sell. So we've tripled our space since October of last year. And so, that's an indicator of what we feel the future is for our company. It's really, when you're in the fulfillment business, the prospects of growth are limitless. I mean, it could be any product. We've got anything from water to yarn to mouthwash to contact lenses, and so it doesn't matter what the category is. The growth potential is limitless, and we see the the robots is really complementing that business. It reduces our need to hire humans, right? And so it allows us to grow without adding a lot of overhead. They don't use insurance. They don't have 401ks that we have to invest in. And so it helps us from that perspective. And then, beyond that, if we see regional growth in a facility, so let's just say we land a big customer in Carlisle, or a customer decides to shift from Texas to Pennsylvania, we can actually package up the robots, send them to the new facility, reduce the amount we've got in Texas. When they get off the truck in our Pennsylvania facility, we turn them on and they instantly recognize the map of the warehouse, and in 15 to 30 minutes, we're picking new orders with the robots. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. It makes perfect sense. I didn't even think of that. Transporting robots from one facility to another, depending on which one's more busy and needs them more. You mentioned the issues surrounding hiring humans to work in the logistics and supply chain sector. Elaborate on that. It sounds like it's been a bit of an issue, or at least it's something that may be, something to think about going forward if it's becoming more and more difficult to hire people and retain them. Well, obviously the robots are going to be useful in that respect, but what's your comment about things like that?
Yeah. So prior to the pandemic, we, as everybody in distribution experienced, it was really difficult to find labor to work in a warehouse. And if you found labor, the labor was easily swayed by just really minimal amounts of money. And so who knows what's going to happen once we get back to our new normal, right, after the pandemic, and what the labor market looks like. Right now we're flush with a lot of people that aren't employed, for sure. But we'll see what happens when we get done. But so yeah, the robots are neutral in that. And the other really kind of interesting thing that we found is our warehouse workers find it kind of cool that they're working with robots, right? So those, if they have the choice between a facility that's utilizing new and cool technology and a facility that's using old technology, we're finding that they want to, it's an incentive for them to stay with us. It's a phenomenon we did not expect.
That's interesting. And also, I should ask, is there a learning curve or a training period required to use these robots? Have you had to retrain a lot of staff or teach them spend a significant amount of time adapting to the robots? Are you finding that as you're implementing them?
That's a great question, and something I had not spoken of yet. Our training time on the robots is somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes. And so we can bring a person from the outside in, teach them how to use a robot in 15 to 30 minutes, and they're picking orders, where it would take us days prior to that.
Well, that's not very difficult, is it? And finally, you mentioned coronavirus, and I suppose I should, ask a question relating to that. One of the things that in the early sort of days of the news coverage of coronavirus, they were saying that supply chains have been brought to a halt because people can't work. They, not either turning up to warehouses or whatever. There was lockdowns and all this, and as a result, people are saying that the supply chain and the logistics sector is going to increasingly automate, is going to bring in more robots, bring in more driverless trucks, and all sorts of other things, which was kind of happening anyway, but more slowly. Now that because coronavirus has been such a serious issue, some people are saying that those experimental technologies and ideas are now being taken much more seriously, and people are trying to implement them as quick as possible. I mean, what's your observations about that whole issue?
Oh, well, it was very true, especially as it came to as it pertained to Amazon. It was they were overwhelmed at the beginning of this. I think they're still a bit overwhelmed, not only with people not feeling safe in their environment, but beyond that, they shifted everything to shipping essentials versus shipping everything else that they had in their warehouses. And many retailers, especially those that we had in our warehouses already, had to shift their business model from one that wasn't being shipped out of Amazon to another, which we were able to adapt to quickly. I do think that this is going to go into the future. I think there'll be less and less brick and mortar. In fact, I just got an email from somebody. It says contactless fulfillment popularity could last well beyond COVID-19. And I do think that is very much a big part of the future. And I think we'll see a spike in business over the next couple of years, in fact, because of this.
E-commerce has been growing quite fast already, but this is coronavirus has probably, catapulted it. I mean, I haven't seen any recent numbers over the last couple of months, but I mean, it must be quite dramatic if Amazon is anything to go by. I mean, do you think it will tail off, or do you think it will just keep growing from there on? What tail off meaning when the lockdowns are ended, are people going to go back to shopping in brick and mortar stores, and will e-commerce find its own sort of level again, or do you think people are going to get used to online shopping and a lot of shops are going to close? Even more shops and brick and mortar stores are going to close. What's your view of that?
Yeah, we have two very distinct businesses under distribution management. One is focused in the B2B world, and it's print related. So people in an office with a copier or with a printer at their desk, or a multi-function printer somewhere in their office that they print it to. And then we've got this fulfillment business. And I think we're going to see a dramatic difference in the business of the future for both B2B and B2C. From a B2B standpoint in our business, I think we're going to see less print that's related to the office, because I think there's going to be less people in the offices. I think that this phenomenon will cause more and more people to be able to work out of their home, and technology will allow that to happen. And it will be a different type of printing. It'll be an ink-based system, and they'll print very sporadically because they might have to foot the bill for that print. On the other side of the business, I think we'll see a dramatic growth of the business in consumer goods being delivered to somebody's house, so that they don't have to go into a store, so that they don't have to fear that they've touched something they shouldn't touch, or contracted something they didn't want to contract, right? So I think we'll see different dynamics in different parts of the business, and I think that applies to all business across the world. Really do.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Send us an email at sales@ roboticsandautomationnews.com to register for one of our many upcoming webinars. And if you'd like us to host your webinar, we have a range of options, including long-term lead generation packages and marketing campaigns. We look forward to hearing from you soon.